Okay, perfect. So it's just turned 2 o'clock. So I'd like to welcome everyone. So thanks for attending today's rental webinar called Why Would You Own an Asset? My name is Mackenzie and I'll be moderating today's session. So we're going to go ahead and get just started in a second. First, I'm very excited to say we have Simon West Oliver today. He'll be presenting. Simon is our Director of Sales at AssetWorks UK and has over 30 years of fleet management software experience. Before I pass things over to Simon, just want to give everyone a quick heads up. The microphones have all been muted, but if you have any questions during the presentation, you can use the chat tool. So you should be able to see a chat icon located on your screen, and this acts as an instant messaging tool. So please feel free if you have any questions to pop them in there and make sure you send them to host and I will field any questions. So Simon will have a brief Q&A session at the end where I'll be able to answer those questions. So that being said, I think we're ready to get started, Simon. I can already see your screen, which is great. So I think we're ready to go.
Thank you, Mac. And it's nice to see everybody here today coming to listen to me warble. Okay. As Mac said, this is a little bit about our rental requirements that we're starting to see from some of our clients and how we view the market currently at the moment. For those of you that don't know me, I am the Director of Sales and Business Development at AssetWorks in the UK. I've 30 years is a moderate number. I'm actually probably been in the industry nearly 35. I was involved in some of the early days of fuel management and telemetry, and the launch of some of the first micro to mini to SaaS type fleet management solutions. And for my sins, I've been instrumentally part of the team that created our rental solution. So today's agenda, give you a little bit of background to who AssetWorks are for those of you that don't know us. Tell you a little bit about the trend that we're seeing in the marketplace, the shift from ownership to usership, and the reasons why we're seeing that trend. And the main reason why we're launching a rental module as part of our total fleet ecosystem offering. So let me just give you a brief introduction to AssetWorks. In the UK, our office is based in Manchester. Our head office is in Wayne in Pennsylvania. As an organisation, we are about 250 employees strong globally currently. One of the nice things is that we support and develop all of our own solution from within our own organisation. We're not a standalone organisation. We're part of a larger group. We're part of one of the 6 biggest software company in the world, the Constellation Software Inc. As an organisation, we support something like 575 customers globally. As a business, it's been going a tad longer than I've been in the industry, so it's 40 years plus. And we look after something like 14 million assets. The key message on this slide, I think, is that we have this great client retention rate. And a lot of that is based around keeping pace with the changes that are happening in the marketplace and the trends that we're seeing that are becoming definitive game changers for organizations. And that's one of the reasons I'm here to talk to you today. So if you look at that spread of asset, we touch every sector that's out there. We have a very strong presence in the public sector, both here in the UK and in the US. But we've also got implementations running very successfully, managing organizations' fleets across the whole business genre globally. And this is just a quick snapshot of some of our clients. Obviously, we've got fleets of varying different sizes, from very small local authorities running perhaps 200-300 vehicles to the largest fleet in the UK, which is the Royal Mail, running 60 plus assets across the whole of the country. So you probably picked up straight away that I want to talk to you today about this change that we're seeing in the marketplace. But behind that change, fundamentally, the assets, no matter how you're using them or how you're acquiring them onto your fleet, whether it's an outright purchase, whether you're leasing, whether you're renting, whether you're getting involved in subscription models, sitting behind them, they still have to be maintained. And any mobility model out there needs to have a solid fleet solution behind it. The ownership to usership trend we're seeing is that first started to emerge in the public or private sector before we started to see it happen in business. And there have been a couple of reasons why we're seeing it happen and grow in business. And a lot of it is around sustainability and ecological support. So it's about shortage of supply, but I'll talk about it a little bit more detail. So if you look back in 2010, we first started to see this trend of organizations looking at different ways of moving their key personnel around their organizations. We also started to see the strength of the external funders appearing in the marketplace. Organizations realized at that stage we don't have to own assets ourselves. We can finance them in. We can finance them in with various different financial models. But we also started to see organizations start to diversify how they manage the movement of their key individuals. And some of it was, yes, using public transport. We saw the emergence of the Uber type platforms. We saw the concept of car sharing. And we saw the change in the rental modules start to appear that gave birth to some of the things that we think will be around in the future. They're going through a few teething problems as we hit 2019. So that's things like subscription models. We mentioned Uber, car sharing models. They were all starting to gain strength in the marketplace pre-pandemic. So as we drift towards the next 10 years and we start to look at organizations restructuring their business and we start to see autonomous fleets start to appear in the marketplace, the strength of not owning an asset becomes even more and more important. And the strategic ownership is based around a different type of model going forward. So it's all about keeping our clients agile. So we talk to our clients, and there's certain assets within most of their fleets they're always going to have to acquire. They're always going to have to maintain internally. But there's an element that they could actually say, no, this could actually be managed as an external provision. It can be managed on a subscription basis. It can be managed on a rental platform that can manage those different types of interactions. It obviously in the UK that gives them some advantage on reducing their RV risk. It helps them in their provisioning as they're moving from traditional fuel sources and moving into new alternative fuel provision, because there's a little bit of unknown still in that sector. What is going to be the predominant player? Am I buying the right assets? Should I actually rent asset in to see how they perform within my operational environment before I start looking at acquiring them and bringing them onto my fleet? And then the big driver as well is that I'm in one of the things that grew out of the pandemic is that there was a lot of aged asset available in the marketplace. It still had a high carbon footprint. And if I'm a conscientious business looking to reduce my carbon emissions, I may want to start looking at how I decommission some of that asset, and to support the previous two items of RV management and transitioning, I want to bring in assets on a trial basis. At the same time, I want to be looking at being ecologically friendly and reducing my carbon emissions. So renting assets in and changing how I manage potentially elements of my grey fleet by offering a subscription platform from an internal rental module may be a route forwards for us. Also, we're starting to look at that level of sustainability, and as we're starting to see manufacturers take on board the concepts of a circular economy in their manufacturing process, it's a clean way of actually trying to bring in newer assets quicker into the organization, okay, and maintain that level of sustainability. So moving into what we're providing, we realize that there's sort of 4 core key principles that we need to adhere to give our clients the quality of management that we've provided with our straightforward fleet management offering. We needed to be able to provide our client with very strong life cycle management infrastructure, the ability to give them the right sort of inventory information that they needed. This allows them to operate even an internal rental operation more effectively, and to keep a tighter control of any assets they're bringing into the organisation on a back-to-back type rental process. So that then strengthens the requirement to having better negotiated rates, managing those rates for the best assets for the job, and managing those external providers. At the same time, you want to manage your internal subscribers to your rental fleet by giving them quality assets, assets that work within the confinements of any potential clean air zone restrictions, assets that provide an ecological support to their fleet usage. Around that, built into your core three areas, are really a level of automation. You want to make sure this is a very smooth, automated process, and that individuals are selecting the right assets for their right job function at the right time. And those workflows involve having good, clear interfaces into the third-party providers. The last area is that correlates to giving a whole lump of data around about usage, which can now start to impact on your acquisition priorities going forward. And that's something that we're very keen to help organizations with, because they're all going through that transition phase from ICE to EV. So we're seeing not just this being driven from a consumer perspective, we're now starting to see some of the things consumers were demanding when they started to look at these types of relationships starting to impact in the business arena. You know, it's looking for something that is completely digitized, that the asset is that we're taking on board. I don't have to worry about how it's insured, who's insuring it. And that's an added attraction from using third-party rental provision. And that it's financially going to fit my budget as a division within an organization. And the whole process has to be very easy. And it also has to be very agile. In other words, that I can swap and change assets based on the demand of my user community. So I'm going to just divert a little bit from the concept of traditional rental. Emerged just pre-pandemic was the concept of subscription modeling. And there's been some very successful stories, there's been some hit and misses, and there's been some downright out failures in this area. And a lot of that has been based on the fact that the supporting technology had elements that weren't quite complete in its offering. And there are different types of these models. And they've been purposely directed towards the private individual. But I think going forward, we're going to see this start to impact on business users more and more. Concept of subscription modeling. If you look at what we're seeing in the marketplace, we'll see the concept of long-term rental, short-term leasing going on, and that's still there. But if I'm looking at an element of my fleet, and I'm going to suggest grey fleet here, and I'm an organization that is still having to manage that grey fleet's carbon footprint because it's operating on my business time, I need to look at reducing that. If I can actually put a car sharing scheme that is managed like a rental solution or a vehicle subscription scheme or straightforward peer-to-peer sharing operations, they all need a rental functionality to manage them. I often say those are all terms, and it's rental by another term, which is really what it is. What we'll see is it becoming a lot more agile. So these become ship-based type offerings. You basically plug in an asset when you need an asset. You can change the asset very, very quickly. And you're going to be having to support perhaps multiple assets within a fleet to feed this type of model. And again, you know, as an organization, we've been providing motor-pool functionality for a long time. This is the next dimension. This is putting a very agile front end to actually manage potentially the reduction of your carbon footprint. So term rental to subscriptions is really where we're at. And it's making this whole circular process, this customer journey, whether it be an internal customer, whether it be a private individual, very, very comfortable and slick. So it's about somebody being able to select an asset based on their needs and based on their budget affordability. It enables them to onboard very quickly. You need to have a very comfortable handover process to the actual subscriber. And the whole billing and collection process should be almost invisible, this core function. The thing is, nothing runs smoothly in the world, and things happen. You know, people still have car accidents, so they have, you know, things still get stolen. And it's being able to manage through the same environment any incidents that happen, and then push that back into your core fleet management solution for the maintenance. The next thing is to manage things that happen outside of your control to a certain extent. So for certain organizations, they may look at this as like a departmental membership type offering. And then the last area that they've got to be concerned about are things like fines, penalties that may happen during that asset's journey. And the rental module we put together is designed to manage that relationship, whether you're offering an internal rental requirement, whether you're doing a back-to-back type relationship, or whether you're providing a new subscription module to replace your Grey Fleet users' requirements within your organization. So a high-level view of this is what sits where. If you look at the assets that are available out there today and the way they're delivered, we're seeing a heavy use on the concepts of telematics for capturing core data. We're seeing a requirement that all those assets are out there. You still need to manage and maintain them. You still need to manage the vehicle deliveries. And that side of it is core fleet management. The other area that people think is completely new is how we fund these assets and how we manage those assets to get the best performance out of them. Things that we're starting to look at is a level of AI intelligence coming into your offering. The assets are now becoming a level communicator. And what I mean by a level communicator, we're talking about the Internet of Things. In other words, the asset is saying there's something wrong with me, I need to come off the road. And you can then start to make strategic decisions at your front end in your subscription rental module and what to do about that asset and replacing that asset. The next thing is having very agile API interfaces into billing mechanisms, into client operations, into service providers to provide you a complete and holistic rental requirement that suits how you want to operate. So for today, when we look at those areas, if you look at the core bottom area, the red box here, this is what AssetWorks provides today. It provides a solid fleet management solution. What we're doing going forward is providing we used to call it short-term rental, but it's a rental module that can manage any of these types of concepts, whether it be subscription, short-term rental, or car sharing. That's what our new rental module is bringing to you as even an internal operator or as an external provider. So if I look at providing renting assets, what does it give us? It gives us increased agility, as I've mentioned. It's about using the right product at the right time and having the ability to retain the right assets that you need to retain in your organization. And those assets that could be seasonal or they could be temporary assets, you're not having to hold them within your motor pool. This time you can actually back-to-back manage them. Okay, so again, it's about capital retention within your organization. The next thing is about making sure we provide the right type of assets for the right type of journeys for the right type of individual. So you're improving the experience of your staff. You're actually giving them assets at the right time that suit their actual particular job function, and you're supporting that whole mechanism on one platform. So we tend to think this is a drift towards what we call our core 7 pillars of sustainability. It's part of the mobility mix, the mobility as a service type message, where you're only using the right assets, okay, for the right jobs. It's about supporting that whole concept about decarbonisation. I'm not running old vehicles for long periods of time. I'm not maintaining a level of fleet that I don't need to maintain, okay, that may sit in my motor pool for long periods of time. I'm managing seasonally, okay, with the latest possible assets I can get hold of from a rental platform, and I'm managing on a back-to-back basis within my organization. In other words, I can actually make this a very digital experience from the client department or customer right the way through to the maintenance operation, right the way back to the external rental provider, or back into our own maintained fleet. That lends us into supporting this emerging circular economy that manufacturers are starting to embrace with the types of assets. And of course, that supports a change that we're starting to see amongst us all. And the fact is that we are responsible for our environment and our social compliance. And it's up to us to actually start looking at how we use these types of assets going forward. That gives us some level of cultural acceptance amongst our peers. So my last parting shot, which is always a good sales message, is why AssetWorks. Well, I mentioned we're very financially stable. I would view us as being the biggest supplier in the marketplace globally. More importantly, we've grown from a knowledge based over 45 years of experience of understanding what fleets require today, tomorrow, and that's critically important. We don't just sit and think that we're the gurus based on our history. We actually go and talk to our clients. We talk to the industry. We're very much of what is trending in the market. We're very much aware of what's trending in the marketplace, and we try to make sure that our products align with what our clients really need to improve their efficiency, their social responsibilities, their sustainability plans, and their carbon footprint reduction plans. We think our solutions, as many providers may say, are the best in class for fleet management software. I've been around in this industry for a long time. I actually think AssetWorks is one of the best products I've ever seen, or best product sets. As an organization, we're unique. We provide a full ecosystem from fueling to disposal, and all the elements that you would need to operate a very efficient fleet within that. That's me finished. If there's any questions that anybody's got, I'm here to answer them. Mac?
Wonderful. Thanks, Simon. That's very interesting. Okay, everyone, so we're going to open up the floor for some questions now. Just a reminder, if you do have any questions, you can send them to me, the host, using the WebEx chat tool on your screen. So we do already have questions already. So our first question for you, Simon, is, can you elaborate on how renting assets can make my fleet more sustainable?
Yeah, I think if you look at your total asset ownership, there's always an element of fleet movement, of vehicles that you're moving off the fleet at key times. I think one of the things that if you're looking at renting asset in, one of the issues, there's been a huge issue on supply issues. So lots of organizations have been struggling buying in asset at certain times. So by disposing of their assets at the right time and renting fleet in, they can often rent in a more ecologically friendly asset. They can rent in a newer vehicle, and it can be done on a temporary basis. So, you know, you can actually start to look at your asset count and maintain a better level of capital within your business just by managing the movement of your asset either via a rental or subscription or a lease platform.
Okay, wonderful, thank you. We also have our second question. So with all the fleet data that goes into Fleet Focus, will all the fleet data from Fleet Focus also go into the rental, and will the rental also go into Fleet Focus? In particular, the fuel data.
Right, so what you need to understand about our rental module, it is a fully integrated part of our full M5 solution. So if you're pulling asset into the system that's coming on via the rental deck, and it has to sit within your fleet for a period of time, it will appear within your within the M5 fleet management solution. Therefore, you'll be able to manage all the fueling through that, and any repairs that you may be as a supplier doing the maintenance on that rental asset can still be managed through M5. And even if the asset's got to go back to somebody else to be maintained, you can still manage that through M5 as well.
So wonderful, thank you. And my favourite question that we've had today is, when can we get a demo of rental module? When can we first get the?
Well, if you email me, okay. So we're with the phase 1 version of the solution is now available, and we're more than willing to give you a presentation of it. It's just a matter of contacting us.
Wonderful. So that's all the questions we have today. So I'd like to thank you again for attending today's presentation. Hopefully you secured some valuable takeaways to keep in mind moving forward. And so I'd like to thank you on behalf of AssetWorks for once again sharing your expertise with everyone today. And for everyone, you can see Simon's contact information on the screen. So please get in touch if you have any questions. So I hope you have a great day, and I look forward to catching up with you next time.
Thank you. Bye, Mac.
Thanks, Simon. Bye.